Right, in this video, I'm going to be showing you a couple of different ways you can do research on your prospects and their companies, from kind of like a beginner level which you can do like today to a more advanced level. So probably the easiest and fastest way to do some quick research is in Clay, go into add column, use AI, configure using Claygen, picking your model as probably um, ChatGPT 4o Mini because it's a very cost-effective model, and then building a prompt in ChatGPT. So using Super Whisper, which is basically just a voice recorder that does a good job at, like, if you make errors, it will correct them. So you can just talk to AI rather than typing, and just ChatGPT and tell it what you're trying to achieve. So tell it the inputs that you have. So in this example, we have like their full name, job title, company, domain, their LinkedIn URL. I just tell ChatGPT all of that and tell it that I'm looking to do some like light research on the company and the prospect. Um, can you create a prompt for me? You paste that prompt in here and then obviously use a forward slash to get the variables and put the variables in the correct positions. And then use JSON schema and just generate using chat, and it will usually generate it in the correct format. And that's probably the quickest way. Like you can get decent knowledge about them using that method, but it's also super cost effective. But if you want to get real deep research, and make sure that the data you get is actually live data rather than historical, um, then your best bet is probably going to be using a more powerful model. So in this example, I'm going to show you how you can do that. So one of the main issues that you're going to face is Clay times out after 30 to 45 seconds of running a cell. So some of these more powerful models are going to be running for a lot longer than 45 seconds, which is a good thing. That's what you want because that means it's actually doing deep research. But you can't run that in Clay because it will just do a timeout. So what you need to do in this example is I'm going to show you how you could use, for example, Perplexity's most powerful deep research model, sorry, that can basically do live research of the web and find everything that it possibly can about the prospect and the company. So what you'd need to do is get this data out of Clay and actually run the model in something else, whether that's Zapier, Make.com, or N8N. I'm going to show you how to do it in Make.com in this example. So what I've done is use the HTTP API, and I've gone to Make.com and I've set up a webhook module. And in this webhook module, you just press add and it will give you a webhook URL. You paste that webhook URL into Clay in here in the endpoint, and then you just use some simple JSON like this to basically send all the information you want to use in the prompt. So I wanted to use all of this, so I just did that. Content type, you're going to do application JSON, and that's all you really need for this example. And then when you press run, that will make sure you save the webhook as well so that it's actually live. But when you press run, that will send the data to make.com. So now you have the data so you can do what you want with it. So the first thing I was going to do with it is actually send that prompt to Perplexity. So I'm not going to show you my API key, so I'm just going to pause here, but I'll show you what the prompt actually looks like without the API key. So in this HTTP module, you'd insert your API key here. So I'm sending it to chat completions, posting it, and then the headers, I'm going to put my API key in with these headers. And then the body, the way I've created this body is I've actually used Perplexity's GPT. So if you go into ChatGPT and you search up public GPTs you can use Perplexity Pro, and you can basically talk to it with Super Whisper, like I told you before, and tell it what you're trying to achieve, and it will give you the exact JSON that you need to send to Perplexity, and it will also be able to build the prompt for you. So basically, the prompt I wanted was I just wanted to do the deepest research I could possibly do using the most powerful model they had for deep research, which was Sonar Deep Research. It gave it a lot of tokens. That's why this takes a long time to run. But yeah, this is how long the prompt is. I've given it all the variables from the webhook. And as you can see, it's a long prompt. And with the response, I always pass the response because it's easier to handle in future modules. But I'm just going to put my API key back in here and then I'll show you how this runs. So after that HTTP module, I was running into some issues with like the JSON. So I just used this transform JSON module. I'm not sure if this is actually doing much. You probably don't need this. I think I was just making some mistakes. And then I ended up, what you need to do next is you go back into Clay and you need a place after you've done your actual like research with Perplexity, you need a place to send the data back to. So I created a new table and all you need to do is press add column and then choose webhook. Use the webhook module here and it will give you an address to send to. So you just copy that address and then that's the endpoint that you want for your HTTP module here. And then same again, post content type JSON, raw JSON, and then just a really simple JSON packet like this. So I was just passing through the actual output I got from Perplexity, which you can see if you go into choices, message, content, that's what I was passing through. That's the actual response. And yeah, all the other data as well. I needed to pass the other data back so that I could have these columns here. But yeah, I'll run this and I'll show you how long this actually takes to run. So if I press run once, and then I go back into Clay, and I go to my table, my original table. So as soon as I press play here, it sends this data to make.com. We've got an error. Let me fix this. 1 second. Cool. Yeah. So I'd run out of credits in my Perplexity account, so I just had to update that. But yeah, this is quite an expensive model to run. So you probably won't want to do this for like every scenario, but I just wanted to show you like the most advanced scenario in case you needed to do like super deep research on a small list. So I'm just going to try this again. I'll press run once, and then I'll send the data. So it sends the data. And then if you look at this bar takes a very long time to run. So I'm talking about almost 3 minutes for this to run. So I'm going to come back, I'm going to pause this and I'll wait till it's done. So that module literally took over 5 minutes to run. But as you can see here, it has added the data as a new column and it's pulled through all of the prospects data, company name. And if we look on this one actually as an example, you can see how long the analysis actually is. Like, look at this. So if you're looking for like the deepest analysis possible, this is the method that you can use. But yeah, it's very expensive and I don't think you should use this in every scenario. This is just like if you have a very targeted list, you're trying to find everything you possibly can about them as quickly as possible and you don't have time to actually manually research. But if I was reaching out at mass, I probably wouldn't use this just because the cost doesn't make sense. But cool. If you're interested in us helping you grow your B2B company, you can book a call with the link below, and we can have a relaxed chat and see if we're a good fit. Other than that, subscribe to the channel, check out the other videos, and thank you for watching.